It's so funny because like people go, oh, Kamala Harris is too progressive. That's what Americans think. That's why she needs to be even more conservative. And then she goes more conservative. And then the people are like, yeah, we hate this. Perhaps it's not a smart idea to go to the middle when you popped off because you weren't Joe Biden.
There's a question here on the screen that's...
Welcome back to the HasanAbi Vindication Hour, where I tell you exactly how right I was for the past couple of years, but especially so in the past couple of months. And then libtards yell at me regardless until the television man also tells everyone, the libtards, that I was right. Welcome back. It's wonderful to have you. Hopefully, a lot of the libtards will learn their lesson that don't listen to the television man, listen to what I have to say. And you will at least be able to outflank the television man and look really cool amongst your other libtard friends when you are correct, and you are inevitably found correct. This is a HasanAbi Vindication hour. Happens quite a bit, especially this past year. It's been 2024 HasanAbi Vindication year. Let's take a look. Harry Enton explains why some Democrats are worried. Run the numbers. Presidential race tightens even more.
Kind of an eternal question. Why some Democrats worry? Now, it's a trope. A lot of people will say they're always worried. But I will say, if you've been paying attention to social media or reporting on CNN, Democrats seem particularly worried now. Why? One man, as we say, has the answer. CNN's chief senior data reporter, Harry Enton, is here. So, why?
Why? What is with all of this bedwetting among Democrats? Maybe it's an eternal problem, but let's take a look here. These are, of course, the Great Lake battleground states, the states we've been focusing in on. If Kamala Harris wins these three, she most likely gets to 270 electoral votes. Take a look 3 weeks ago. Harris was ahead.
Momentum swinging. Uh-oh.
By 2 in Pennsylvania, 2 in Wisconsin, 3 in Michigan. Look at where we are today. The race is even tighter than it was. Today, it's a 1-point advantage in Pennsylvania, 1 in Wisconsin, 1 in Michigan. Look, that's limited movement, but in a year in which this race has been so static, if we're talking 1-point movement, 1-point movement, 2-point movements, and we see movements in all three, this is the type of thing that, at least in the public polling, makes Democrats worried. And I think that the public polling in this case is reflected in some of that internal polling, some of that reporting that suggests that these Great Lake battlegrounds.
I think polls mean nothing. Oh, they're back. The polls mean nothing. Libs are going to be so back. Vibes understander, bros. We are back in. Riding with Biden has now turned into riding with Harris into the distance. I love that. Vote blue no matter who. So consistent, so resilient. Who could have foreseen this? Why are Democrats bedwetting? The race is closer than it was 3 weeks ago. Way too close to call in all three. Also, Harris is doing 6 points worse on average in them at Biden at this point in 2020. Also, Dems worry more about a Trump presidency than GOP about Harris. That's because it won't be a Trump presidency. It'll be a Trump dictatorship. Normalizers like you helped usher in so you could get paid. This doesn't make any sense. If it's a Trump dictatorship coming up and the Democratic Party recognizes that, they should probably abandon a lot of the policies of that Trump agenda instead of hugging and kissing every Republican but Trump. Who could have foreseen this? Who? I mean, who? Perhaps they are not appealing to Republicans enough. I'm going to tweet it. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming? Perhaps they're not appealing to Republicans enough. Step aside and let Romney run in the interest of bipartisanship. Oh, you know what? I'm going to say Nikki Haley. No way. Trump will be never president. Though, isn't Trump way too hated like Kamala, who doesn't even need to be that popular? Yeah, Trump is way too hated. But if you're turning around and looking at a hated guy and saying all of his policies are right, but he's too incompetent to run those policies, then why the should anybody vote for you? Notice the attitude shift from a lot of the liberals in the upcoming weeks, where all of these think pieces start coming out about like why the Kamala Harris campaign is hemorrhaging, why the momentum is swinging in the other direction. They will come in here and they won't say that I was right, but they'll start watching and they'll try to be a little bit more careful. Maybe they'll actually turn around and yell at me and say I'm the reason why she's doing poorly in the polls.
States have certainly tightened a lot, where at this point they are way too close to call.
It is what you call a trend.
It is
when
a
you
trend.
See something like this over several states. When you compare this to 4 years ago, what does it look like?
Yeah, so let's take a look, and we're going to look at an average across these 3 states, right? Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, an average on October 11th. What do you see? Well, if you look 8 years ago, Hillary Clinton was way out in front in an average of these 3. She was up by 8. You go 4 years ago, Joe Biden was up by an average of 7 points across these 3 Great Lake battleground states. You come today, it's just a 1-point advantage for Kamala Harris across these 3 Great Lake battleground states. So Kamala Harris, at least in the polling, is doing considerably worse than Biden or Clinton. And of course, Clinton lost in all 3 of these states, and Joe Biden barely won in all 3 of these states. So when you see Harris up by just a point across these 3, I think that this is really the type of thing that gets Democrats really to worry, John, because the simple fact is Kamala Harris is doing considerably worse than either Biden or Clinton was.
Yeah, at this number, what you start hoping for is somehow that the polls
are actually right this time around?
Are right this time and doing a better job, and that's a little bit of a thin reed to base your hope on. There may be some other reasons in general why Democrats are more worried.
Yeah, so I think it just comes down to the fact that Democrats are more worried about a...
It's so funny because, like, people go, oh, Kamala Harris is too progressive. That's what Americans think. That's why she needs to be even more conservative. And then she goes more conservative. And then the people are like, yeah, we hate this. Perhaps it's not a smart idea to go to the middle when you popped off because you weren't Joe Biden. Perhaps it's a smart idea to not tell everyone over and over again how you're Joe Biden, but like even worse. Gaza is Gaza. Say it. She needs to deal with Gaza. No, Gaza is a part of it for sure. For sure. But it's not the major component here. I think it's one of a multitude of different issues. I don't just talk about Gaza, contrary to what dumbass naysayers of mine say all the time. Immigration, messaging around that issue is a massive problem. Domestic economic solutions. Kamala Harris's economic domestic agenda is dog. She does not address a litany of the million different problems that Americans are experiencing. There's some good policies there. She doesn't hammer on them enough. You cannot opportunity economy yourself out of this situation. You're annoying. You are basically just trying to do the Trump strategy, but gay. It's not going to work. Americans don't want a gayer Trump. Trump is already gay as he's the zesty king in a positive way. You're trying to be, it's not going to work. What do you mean opportunity economy? We're going to do $50,000 in tax cuts for small businesses. I love small businesses. I'm crying when I think about small businesses. Like, who the fuck is this for? What is like having sex with men, which should be illegal and also means you're going to go to hell? No, dude, you know what I mean. I mean scoldy, okay? In a positive way. He's zesty. He's funny. He's a queen. Trump is annoying scold. You're being right now by being like, what does it mean? CNN's focused too much on the numbers without addressing why voters feel disconnected. Oh God, you don't want them to start chirping about why voters feel disconnected. This is a 9-minute video. Don't worry. They're going to do the panel. And in that panel, they're going to say voters are feeling disconnected. One, because Kamala's a black woman. And then they're going to say it's because she's not being moderate enough.
Donald Trump presidency than Trump supporters are about a Kamala Harris presidency. So angry if the opposing candidate wins. 52% of Harris voters say they'd be angry if Donald Trump won versus just 42% of Trump voters who say they'd be angry if Kamala Harris was. So I think this is more of a bigger, larger picture. It's not just that the polls are tightening. I think it's just that Democrats, John, are more worried in general about a Donald Trump presidency than the reverse in this particular situation.
Harry Etten, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
Have a great weekend.
You as well.
Kate?
So Kamala Harris is continuing her campaign media blitz, taking part in a town hall hosted by Univision for undecided Hispanic voters. Listen.
When I am elected president, I will bring back that border security bill, and I will sign it into law and do the work of focusing on what we must.
Yeah, tell those goddamn Latinos what's what, okay? You put them in their place, all right? You tell them, listen, abuela, going to prison, big dog, okay? Uncle, you're going to prison. You're going to a detention center. That's right, baby. That's right. Now, Univision is not a good place to put forward a bold, declarative, radical, pro-immigrant agenda. Tio, yeah, Tio's going to jail. Okay. Why would you do this on Univision? Because they're also right-wing. And there's hella right-wing Hispanics anyway. That part is also true. The issue is they're that way because the Democratic Party doesn't offer, at least back in the day, they would get the progressive Latinos, younger Latinos, to be like, hey, listen, these guys are genuinely this, okay? It took very few years for the Latino base to be like, actually, we're also, never mind, aren't going to vote Trump anyway if they care about immigration. Yes, they are. This is no different than Trump going to Detroit and telling them the U.S. will come like Detroit. Yeah.
Must do to have an orderly and humane pathway to earn citizenship. I think it is a false choice for people who would say you do one or the other. I believe we must do both. I believe we can do both.
Joining me right now is Gen Z activist, social media influencer, Carlos Eduardo Espina. He has 10 million followers on TikTok. I'm sure it's more than that if I check back. You can correct me. And it also is speaking slot at the DNC, which is the last time that we spoke was right before you had your big moment on stage at the DNC. The New York Times headline on this event,
I have no idea who this guy is. Do I know this guy? Who is this guy?
This town hall event with Univision was that it was Harris walks fine line on immigration at Univision town hall, which is what you really kind of saw in that moment, in that soundbite that we just played. But in your experience, in your view, in what you hear in your interactions with your followers, is walking a fine line the right thing to do you think?
Well, in my personal experience, I actually believe it's not. I think the Harris campaign needs to be a lot more on the forefront of proposing a different vision than Donald Trump on immigration. You see it yesterday in the town hall. Of the 10 questions, 3 of them were in one way or another related to immigration. You had the daughter who lost her mother, the guy who has friends who are on DACA, and then you had other issues on immigration, and they're all highlighting, right, the humane aspect of it. And I think that's something really important to lean on. And obviously border security is really important and it needs to be addressed, but I would like to see a lot more of the leaning into the humane side, you know, DACA recipients.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he's saying this on CNN. That's good. Respect to Carlos Eduardo Espina. I've seen him on TikTok. I thought he was pretty left-leaning. He mostly makes videos in Spanish. That's probably why I don't know. He's a big immigrant civil rights activist. Oh, thank God. Oh my God. When I saw like he's speaking of DNC, and I was worried. I was like, oh no, is this like Enrique Sison? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I thought it was going to be the Latino version of the DNC bot. Thank God. No, you did not just, okay, bro, chill. You know what I mean? You live in California. Why do people always say this? Yeah, I do. I live in literally the #1 undocumented immigrant state. It's awesome. That's why it's gross when people will like yell about California doing this or that for undocumented immigrants. And it's like so frustrating. It's like, what the f do you mean, dude? This state is dope. Like, it's awesome. It's one of the objectively better parts of California. Oh, learn Spanish? Yeah, bro, it's too late. Too late, dog. I already speak 2 languages, okay? I already speak 2 languages. Also, Mexicans are Turks, so maybe they should learn Turkish. Have you thought about that? That's right. Yeah. I hear you telling Mexicans to learn Turkish, and they're Turkish themselves, okay? No habla español. You understand me? If I were to learn a language, instead of Spanish, it would be Mandarin.
Those who are married to U.S. citizens, those who have been here for decades, and really highlighting that contrast between Harris and Trump. And I think she's doing a good job at times, but I would like to see more of it, honestly.
That is interesting, because I was going to ask you, what you're getting at is, as it's been described, the shift that people have seen in Kamala Harris's position since she's gotten into the campaign. I mean, Harris is now pledging to impose even more restrictive immigration, asylum, and border policy.
Chad, who said Mexico was colonized by the Spanish, not the Turks? Okay. Who colonized the Spanish? Why is Mexican food so close to Turkish food? You mean, dog? Turks are Mexican. You can draw a straight line, dude. Yeah. Mexicans are Turk. Straight line, baby. Typical pro-CCP channel. Ugh, disgusting.
Policies than we've seen really, you know, before from Biden or that she's talked about before. And in doing so, She's gone from framing herself as an advocate for undocumented immigrants to kind of touting herself
as a white man who's been to both Mexico City and Mexico City of Turkey, Istanbul. It is very similar. Also, New York City is the Mexico City of America, for those who don't know. Yes.
talking a lot about being a former border prosecutor and how she's going to be stronger on the border.
Yo, this is actually not a bad conversation. I'm shocked that CNN is doing this right now. And much respect to my boy here, my TikTok legend here. I'm sorry. Like I said, Hasan has made me think that like everyone that's a TikToker is going to be a certain way. And I was a little wrong about that.
Than Donald Trump is. Do you think she's trying to win the middle? She's trying to not turn off, if you want to say like Republican voters on this issue, if I'm going to say with broad strokes. But do you think that hurts her?
I'm not necessarily sure if it hurts her. I'm not a pollster. I can tell you what I see day in and day out in the community. And when I meet people, I mean, every single day that I'm out, people recognize.
I'm going to get to your dumbass in a second. Bro, you really have Hispanic blind spots, though. It's a little odd, you being in LA.
From social media,
worry.
people comment on my videos. And it's very few of the people who are, you know, the forefront of immigration is the issue of the border for them. I mean, obviously people care about it. They're concerned about certain aspects, but I don't think they're concerned about it as much as they are, you know, an immigration status for their mother, like the lady we heard at the town hall yesterday, or for their spouses or for their children or whoever it may be that they really care about. And that's why I believe, you know, it is really important for the Harris campaign to lean more into that pro-immigrant, especially focusing on those who are already here. And you can do that without necessarily, and I think she recognized that, compromising border security and all that narrative around it. But yeah, I would like to see more of, you know, talking about those who have been here 10, 15, 20 years working, paying taxes, contributing. What is the plan to help them? And their families as well. I think that would really win her some points on people who maybe right now are undecided.
And what do you, and it might be hard to kind of encapsulate.
For the record, this chatter is most likely going to talk about how I say that a lot of Hispanic Americans now are comfortably under the white banner. That's the number one thing that first gen Latino chatters absolutely despise whenever I bring up this fact. And they'll say, oh, well, the census data doesn't actually make room for people to identify as anything but white. And that's the reason why they're like white Hispanic. It's just, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Okay. It don't matter that you don't see it that way. I understand why you don't see it that way. You have a closer relationship with your own culture. No, I agree. I'm from Texas. I see that firsthand. Well, then what the fuck is my Hispanic blind spot then? Especially if you're a Texas, especially if you are a Hispanic person from Texas, then you know what I've been saying for the longest time. The Democratic Party has completely dropped the ball on the Latino outreach in Texas. The Republicans have basically nationalized their Latino outreach, all that they successfully did in Texas. You're from LA and you don't like tacos? Wait, that's it? No, man, I do like tacos. What's wrong with you? I just prefer soft shell, non-corn tortilla. I prefer flour tortilla to corn tortilla. That's it. That's it. That's literally it. That's the only thing. I like flour tortillas. I don't like corn tortillas as much. No, I'm not even talking about hard shell, soft shell. That's my preference. That's just my preference. That's it. I like flour tortillas more. I'm not afraid to say it. Okay? I'm sorry. A taco and a flour tortilla is just a flauta. Okay, I like that, whatever it is. To the average Mexican, that's worse than calling us slurs. I don't know, man. I just like I said, I just like flour tortillas better. Flour tortillas are better than corn, and I will fight for that. Thank you. But, oh, it's Carter that's agreeing with me. God damn it. Okay, maybe it is a white take. You're right, though. Dems have dropped the ball with Latino outreach. There is a more holistic approach to the Latino outreach, too. Because the Latino demographic, just like every other demographic, is also still American, okay? They're not like different. They're not unique. And what I mean by that is, yeah, if you have less educated voters, specifically Latino men, yes, they're going to be prime targets with the same vectors of radicalization as white undereducated men are. That's it. But beyond that, if you want to target demos on what they care about, Latino voters, with the exception of Cuban voters, okay, we're not talking about the Cuban voters. We're not talking about the Venezuelan voters, at least Venezuelan voters in the past in Florida. With those two exceptions, Latino voters are almost universally pro bigger government initiatives. They like social safety nets. When they came to the United States of America, they took advantage of social safety nets for their children. Okay, they're natural born U.S. citizen children. They recognize that that works in comparison to their countries back home, and they like it, and they want more of it. And this is consistent across older Latino voters as well. The problem is the Democratic Party doesn't do that. They don't even do any sort of outreach on that front. There's a reason why Bernie Sanders, Theo Sanders, was so goddamn successful in the Sun Belt in comparison to all these other Democrats in the primaries. Okay? It's because especially younger progressive Latinos come out in droves when they believe that a guy has their back. Across the board, Latino voters, especially older ones, are more conservative socially, but they're still fiscally very progressive, with the exception of Cubans. Okay? So if you do not tackle, no, don't just say they have insecurity. It's such a dumb take, dude. You should not ever in a million years even get to that conversation. Okay? I hate that. It's dumb. Yes, a lot of men have insecurity. Who gives a, you have to work against that. You have to make people overcome that masculine insecurity by presenting things that actually solve some of their problems. Okay? And if you don't do that, then yeah, culture war issues, Republicans are going to ham that up and win. That's it. You don't know what you're talking about. Nothing wrong with white takes once in a while. You don't know what you're talking about? Okay. I'm just trolling. I know everyone that says that is just trolling usually.
Quickly, but what do you think is the top issue? Is it immigration, or maybe just beyond immigration, that you are hearing from your, more than 10 million followers?
The issue is Dems are trying to play the culture war game. Republicans are way better than dog. Dems are playing the culture war game on the side of the Republicans. Of course the Republicans are going to win. That's the problem. Imagine going out on the basketball court and just starting to score on your own bucket. Like, you're like, oh yeah, why can't we win this game? I don't understand. Why can't we win? We just keep scoring over and over again. We're trying to demonstrate that we can score our own goal better than the opposite team can. Why are they winning?
Followers on TikTok, many of whom are.
I think that there's a legitimate issue when you're trying to convince these men to vote for a woman. No, that's loser. That is loser. Okay. What, you think white supremacy wasn't a prominent role when getting white people to vote for Bardock No Bummer? His middle name was Hussein, dog. What are you talking about? This dude's name was Barack Hussein Obama. Not a single part of that is understandable to the mind of the average American. Like, come on, guys. Post 9/11 America, with the middle name Hussein, won the presidency twice. Okay. What the fuck are we talking about? Also, oh, these men have. Meanwhile, Mexico's got a Jewish woman as the president that they elected by LeBron numbers. What are you talking about? What happened? All the toxic masculine Latinos went over the border? Is that what happened? All the toxic Mexicans came to Texas and California. That's why. They do it differently in Mexico. Or maybe they liked AMLO's policies and they trusted Claudia would continue said policies. Maybe policies do help. That's so funny, dude. Like, dude. A Jewish woman winning in Mexico is, if we're just simply looking at demographics, supposed to be significantly harder than a black woman winning in America. What's up? In a full tilt Catholic nation, nonetheless. Hasan is like okay, but genuinely the towards women is so terrifying here. Hasan is like domestic's not political. What? Dude, I'm not saying doesn't exist. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? You just want to hear what you want to hear at this point. Okay? Shut up. This is so goddamn annoying. I get it, but it's a valid point. No, it's a valid point if you're a loser. Okay? It's a valid point if you want to figure out, if you feel in your heart that Kamala Harris is slated to lose and now you're looking for a loser narrative. People only care about, at the end of the day, People think about, what are you going to do for me? That's it. And yes, if Kamala Harris doesn't make up the what are you going to do for me part, then yeah, people are going to be like, well, she's a black woman, she's too liberal for me, and not vote for her. That's it. Kamala Harris cannot become a man, okay? It's not going to happen. She's a black woman. That's not going to change. So work within the confines of the limitations set before you in a hysterically patriarchal and white supremacist society, unless she gets one of those bottom surgeries that she's been offering the undocumented migrants. Kamala Harris wants to do to undocumented migrants. Banger ad, by the way. I can't believe it, dude. What a joke of a country we are. I swear to God. It's so stupid. It's like transgender aliens. Oh, man. Common folk don't want your wokeness. We don't want your indoctrination. And we don't want the government in our personal lives. And that's precisely why I'm voting for the Republican Party, because I think women that do a medical procedure with a doctor should be jailed instantly. Okay? That's right. If you're a victim of rape, you should not be able to get an abortion. Damn right, brother. I love little government, as little as possible. So little that it sneaks up into the room with a normal conversation with a medical provider. I want that little, like a fly on the wall. But then it becomes a big government when I feel like it. Yeah. I love little government. That's why I think there should be a PE teacher that checks all the way from kindergarten to high school to make sure that there's no trans teenagers doing gender games in my high school swim meets. As a matter of fact, I'd like to be that person that checks the genitals of all the children. Okay, please do not look at my background. You might find something you don't like there, and that's not why I'm saying that. Okay, I'm a changed man. Yeah, I love little government. I hate the nanny state. Thanks, man. Common folk don't want your gender nonsense. Starting to sound like Alex Jones? Well, if you say that while I'm talking about the average Republican Party position, while I'm demonstrating the inconsistencies of that narrative, then yeah, you're not wrong. The average Republican has become the Alex Jonesian type of Republican. And not the cool Alex Jones like George Bush did 9/11 Alex Jones. I'm talking new Alex Jones. Yeah. What do you have to say to that, chatter? The right doesn't want your wokeness, doesn't want your indoctrination, and doesn't want to be dependent on the government. Yes, my father's on disability, okay, but he's white. When I say we don't want no government, I'm talking about we don't want no government. I'm talking about not the type of government dependence that my pappy's on, okay? I'm talking about black people being on the government dole. U.S. energy security and sovereignty is being sacrificed to the climate agenda and world governments. Yeah, that's right. Which is why I love the current order of business where we are beholden to the wealthy benefactors of private oil interests. That's why we give them all of our. And then in times of need, when OPEC plus a cartel decides to lower the supply of a barrel of oil, Joe Biden has to go out and beg the American oil industry that relies on unlimited dollars going to them to make up for that shortfall. And then they turn around and say, you old man, we are beholden to our shareholders and no one else. That's the kind of energy independence I'm in it for. That's right. I'm a free thinker, brother. And that's precisely why I'm basically churning out the diluted version of 35 years of oil and gas industry lobby and talking points in here. That's how much of a free thinker I am. The middle class is being flattened as Vanguard and BlackRock sweep properties, which is why I'm voting for a real estate developer. Hell yeah, brother. The more you talk about how much of a free thinker you are, the more I'm assured that you are not just repeating stuff that you don't fully understand that you saw off of a goddamn TikTok. Hell yeah, baby. Nobody wants that wokeness. Vanguard Inc. is the only Vanguard movie the American hawk can get behind. Yeah, wait till you find out who owns Vanguard. You have more of a piece in that puzzle than you think. Our elites have sold us out to China's New World Order decades ago. Yup, and it's going to be a brand new day tomorrow. When President Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, comes kicking down our door and forcing us to do 15-minute cities and reasonable public transit, brother, I'm going to hate that. Okay? I'm going to hate that so hard. I hate it. Admit it, you paid this dude? No, this is just an average Republican guy. Actually, this guy might be memeing because he is like, he's too good at churning out the talking points. It does come across as like too coherent while still being utterly, you know what I mean? Our elites have sold us. RFK is the only one to point to the lobbyists that keep us sickened. Hell yeah, brother. I love RFK Jr. He's my favorite. Let's continue with this. I'll get back to you in a second.
Yeah, well, obviously immigration's there's more to it. There's the economy, there's democracy. There's a lot of different aspects. And I think the biggest thing I've noticed is a lot of people are voting this time around, not so much based on policy, but more on personality. And, the more they get to meet Kamala Harris, the more they understand, that she's a human. She's compassionate. I think that's why that town hall yesterday was really passionate. You are really important. You would never see, I think, Donald Trump give such a compassionate answer or really understand people's suffering. So I think, one of the big skepticisms right now is people just don't know enough about her. So doing these kind of events, appearing more, on Univision, Telemundo, on other platforms where Spanish speakers and Latinos in general are, I think can really help, break that divide that people right now feel like they don't know who they are and they do know who Trump is. And for some reason, a lot of people seem to be attracted to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, she has less support among Latino voters in recent polling than Biden had 4 years ago. How that is going to pan out come exit polls this time around, we'll see together. It's good to see you,
he
Carlos.
did speak at the DNC. I think his heart is in the right place, but he's still doing talking points. Where was that chatter said that they were going to be on Univision? Did the hog come back with anything?
Again, thank you for coming in.
Our new Wall Street Journal poll,
I think he just got confused maybe when I put the Trump hat on.
surveyed the 7 battleground states, the states that are going to decide this election. We find Harris leading in 4 of these 7 states and Trump leading in 3 of them.
Oh yeah, his last bar was RFK's the only one to point to the lobbyists that keep us sick. And that's right. I love me a guy who is a Democrat on all the policy white papers, with the exception of Israel, or no, actually, with the exception of Ukraine. He's the same on Israel as the most aggressive Zionist Democrat out there. The only thing he hates is Ukraine and medicine, modern medicine. That's why I'm really pushing for RFK to shake things up.
But the word lead has to be used loosely because these states are very close. The lead that one candidate or the other has is well within the margin of error. And the mystery is this. When we ask people which issues they care about, which issues are going to be most important to them when they vote, we find Donald Trump by far is viewed as better.
The monopolies of corporate industry poison our food and control the FDA. Okay, I don't know how else to tackle this, okay? You have bested me, my good sir. I'm bored now. So you've officially won this argument. Dog, you hate corporations. You should be on my side. I'm not pro Kamala Harris, but I'm definitely anti-Trump. How the f do you arrive at this insane inconsistency? You're like, I hate the monopolies of corporate industry that poison our food and control the FDA. You're talking about the revolving door between corporate entities and the regulatory agencies, but you're simultaneously voting for more deregulation of said agencies. What you should be actually pushing for is better control over these agencies. What you should be pushing for is competency in these agencies, an anti-corruption candidate. America's become such a post not revolutionary, what's the word? America's become such a banana republic, like a post global south, post American intervention country, that we can actually now run like a anti-corruption candidate in the similar vein that like you see in Latin American countries, Like I think genuinely, like someone running an anti-corruption candidate might actually genuinely unite this country. Like instead of talking about instead of talking about all this that they're talking about, they should just literally do that. They'd be like, I'm an anti-corruption candidate. I guess Trump did do that. He said drain the swamp. That's what he was talking about.
At handling those issues. Those are the economy and border security and immigration. And yet, those advantages aren't translating to a big lead in a contest against Kamala Harris. And on some facets of our economic lives, like healthcare, the edge goes to Kamala Harris. When we ask about, does this candidate care about people like you, Kamala Harris has a narrow lead. Who has a leadership experience needed for the job? Donald Trump has the edge. But voters also say that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Has the experience needed to lead? This guy was a baboon as president. Like he literally, he never had a single moment where he demonstrated basic, bare minimum competency in the presidential role. God, these people are so stupid. It's too extreme.
That Trump, more than Harris, is the candidate who is too extreme. That suggests that people see either.
I think too extreme is a far better signifier of like how Americans broadly see either of these candidates than too liberal. Okay? I will say that. Because like, remember, people don't think Trump is too conservative in the polls. Okay? And to a certain degree, that's right. Because like, you know, he was the Heritage Foundation president. Right? What's extreme about it is the way that he presents his ideas and also how far he goes in pushing them.
His policy choices, say on abortion, as out of the mainstream, or his general style and approach, his persona, as too extreme. It's been a crazy, chaotic political year. We've had a change at the top of the Democratic ticket. There were 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. There's been millions of dollars in advertising and some bitter political rhetoric here. This has all had the effect of pushing Americans into their partisan corners. Across these 7 states, we find that Donald Trump is holding 93% of Republican voters and Kamala Harris is holding 93% of Democratic voters. There are very few people defecting from the party that they align with. One thing we find when we compare this poll to the last time we tested the swing states, when President Biden was at the top of the ticket, Trump had a narrow lead. What's important, though, is how much ground Kamala Harris has made up. She's gained in Arizona, in North Carolina, in Georgia. This means that she has more routes to victory in the Electoral College than Joe Biden did. She's competitive in all 7 states, including these Sunbelt states that look to be slipping out of reach for.
That's why I'm still riding in Biden, by the way, because if I vote for him, he will win. And that was the message that stuck with me.
The Democratic Party. But overall, this is a highly polarized partisan electorate, and people are in their partisan corners.
People don't have that access to the wealth that is necessary for them to.
Okay, we're skipping the fucking Univision. How is Trump winning? Oh, this is how you know we're back in 2016, baby. We got these like documentary style. We got these documentary style videos coming in from the British. The British are coming. The British are coming. They're going to do documentaries on American animals, okay? Freak. Absolute freak. Okay, soft shell flour tortilla enjoyer. Can you calm down? I enjoy a flour tortilla over a corn tortilla. You will never hear me say it like that. I genuinely don't get it. They have immediate family members. Dog, how many chatters have to tell you that their dads are undocumented and they still, if they could vote, would vote for Donald Trump? For you to be like, maybe these people respond to some other that Trump is saying. I'm telling you right now. First of all, there's a couple different factors at play here. Obviously, you know, reactionary mindset doesn't matter. Like there's no self-preservation instinct in that situation. Some people have a I got mine, so come all approach. Other people do not have the capacity to think about how devastating it would be if her favorite cousins got deported. Okay. And last but not least, the most significant part of this is that if one party is not responding to any of their interests, okay, and the other party is at least saying like, no, you're right, immigrants are transing your children, or whatever or that like, you know, Democrats want to abort all of the all the babies. Democrats want to deport every baby or abort every baby. That type of they're responding to that. No wonder they don't talk to you, dude. You're crazy. Of course they don't want to talk to you. You just said you'd be fine with them getting deported after living here for 30 years. You're a psychopathic freak. This is like failing basic competency, okay? Basic, like she is failing the human cognition test. Like, this is the party of family values, by the way, okay? When you are a family values guy and you like immediately say like, oh, my daughter is trans and now she's to me because of that. Like, no, you're an animal, dude. Oh, my family members are undocumented. I don't give a if they're apprehended and kicked away from the country that they've called their home for the past 30 years. You have failed in like being a human being. You failed in the first step of that project. People that are closest to you, your kin, you are casting aside for a political project like this. It's disgusting, actually disgusting. And I think a big part of that is because she's a bad person. Okay. I don't like to do the good bad dynamic, but like ultimately that's it. That's what it is. Like, this is villain. You're a bad person if you are this callous in your indifference to that your immediate family members are going to be subjected to, and you're actively championing said you're a bad person. A Muslim and maybe he get it. I mean, I don't know. This guy's probably woke. Like, I don't think he's like that. Not all Brits are like that. Yeah. Come on. It is funny, though, that a British guy from a British publication is in the United States of America shocked at how reactionary Americans have become on the issue of immigration. You're one of the most important for this narrative, taking the stage finally. Thank you. Anyway, this is in Tucson, which is a blue city to Lamont. Well, blue city Republicans are literally the worst in this country. They're the biggest freaks. Republicans in an otherwise blue enclave are some of the most rabid freaks that you've ever met. They are significantly worse than like a regular Republican in a Republican neighborhood in a Republican state. Yeah, they should be coming in here legally, brother. Also, we got the president saying he's going to make the legal migrants in the country illegal. So how does that work? How the f does that work, man? Oh, I guess it's just paperwork at that point. Paperwork to enforce white supremacy, which is at the heart of Donald Trump's white nativist agenda. How do you change the perception of undocumented immigrants when we shifted so far right on this? All it takes is for people to say the truth. That's it. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. That's the truth. If you don't want to see those ads, you got to subscribe. That's also the truth. Okay? If I lied to you and acted like it didn't exist, maybe after a while you would still see the 3-minute ads at the top of the hour, but you'd be like, why the fuck am I seeing it? You'd get more and more angry. You'd be like, how the fuck do I avoid it? With no answers, you become more reactionary. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Yeah, dude, they're going to blow up the Chuck E. Cheese in Tucson. Like, do you hear yourself, man? Do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? How self-important. Yeah, Tucson, Arizona is under grave threat by, dude. You shut the fuck up. She wants to live in a James Bond novel. That's what it is. Half of these guys are just like hallucinating an alternative reality because they feel like it would be sick if they lived in said reality and that they're fighting against this thing that they hallucinated. Yeah. Coming to my town in Tucson, Arizona, because they hate the fact that I have freedoms to eat $5 jalapeno poppers whenever I feel like it. That's right, baby. That's right. I'm going to fight against them with my AR-15. Dude, people shoot the water barrels, dude. Like, the steps you take, like you wake up one morning, you put on your tactical gear, and then you drive your F-450 lifted pickup truck into the goddamn desert to shoot the water tanks left for people crossing this otherwise very dangerous trek. Like, at no step in that process do you go, am I a bad guy? Like, would my mother be proud of me for doing this? Like, should I be doing this at all? It is, I mean, that's right. It is. It just doesn't, like, these are human beings, man. I have endless respect for boomers that have been at this game for years and years. I hope to be as based as they are one day. That's why you'll never hear me talk about the Code Pink activists, specifically, what's her face? The tiny Jewish woman, Medea Benjamin. Thank you, chatter. She's the GOAT. These are the people that have been just fighting the good fight for their entire goddamn lives, dude. They have never stopped. They're the best. Some of them might even have like crank associations, crank leanings every now and then, but it doesn't matter. Is the tiny part being included in that important? Yes. People immediately figured out who I was talking about.
District, a Republican stronghold for years.
I'm glad that these young liberal Hitlerites are legitimizing extreme right hallucinations about immigration. Yeah, it's funny because they think they're doing a good job too. Like they think that they're doing this for good. 2028 Dems are going to run on secure mass deportation methods. Yeah. No, they're going to be like, what? I understand your point about Norm, but respectfully, King, it seems like you're sacrificing the trans community for a boomer. Would you feel the same way if you was virulently like a regular user, but had the same exact takes on Palestine? I think that is so commonplace in comparison to being that level of overtly that, yes, it is not shocking to me that an 800-year-old man is, yeah, straight up. It would be significantly weirder if someone that was that virulently was anti-Israel simultaneously. They would probably be David Duke or something. You know what I mean? Like that would be a little different. My friend said I should stick to watching clips of you because I'm becoming brain broken by watching you live. Yeah, imagine what's happening to my brain. Do you see what I'm saying? Charizard enjoyer, especially in the way that like Norm Finkelstein talks about it, is pretty norm. Like it's pretty much the norm. You know what I mean? It's not like he's doing Matt Walsh style. Yeah, but like why wave it off? Because I'm secretly no, I wave it off because of course he's 800 years old. Do you have relatives? Like do you not have you not spoken to an 80-year-old? What do you mean? Guy who hates Israel for not doing enough to help Rhodesia. Yeah. Also, Norm's entire body of work revolves around Palestinian liberation or chronicling the many psychotic ways in which Israel has like dominated Palestinian lives. So that's his specialty. That's what he's good at. He doesn't understand the other topic at all, and he tries to tie it loosely to like identity politics and Bernie Sanders, but like it sucks at the end of the day. It's just bad. But it's far from it doesn't even it's nowhere near his activism nor his like body of work in general. It's just like a minor thing. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I mean? People are having trouble parsing passive, unknowledgeable on the subject and ideological reactionary politics. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Finkelstein is because he hates Bernie and other progressive Dems. No, I think he's also transphobic because he's, again, 80 years old and he doesn't understand it. Like, that's it. He thinks it's like, in the most like charitable way to approach the subject matter, it's so irrelevant and I don't even want to talk about it. But it's like, it's literally just like the way that like old people think it's just, it's like fancy work. You know what I mean? Oh, you're just like looking to do activism on something. Like that's the way that they see it. They don't understand it. So they think like, I don't get this thing. And it's just like entitled, spoiled children that are like looking for attention, which is inherently, it's a very way to approach the subject matter for sure. Ultimately, it stems from not understanding it and thinking it's weird due to a near century of social conditioning. I do find it very funny to get mad about that though, because we're talking about a guy who does not have a mobile phone, just so you understand. Like he don't got internet, but like genuinely he don't got internet. Like that's not a joke. He uses a landline, dude. Still. This maybe, well, why does it seem trans people are more common in wealthier situations? That's not correct at all. It's because poor trans people are not even remotely visible. Oh, you just only see a rich person who is trans. That's the only reason. What are you talking about? This is very funny to me, at least, because like this is also the same principle behind like the white working class attitude that a lot of people have. Like trans people are working class too. They don't like exist outside of the boundaries of of regular human existence. Hello, trans person here. Lamau, the world requires nuance to navigate, especially in aggressive politics. We have to pick our battles. Zizek is transphobic, but his work on ideology, for example, no longer relevant. Trans people, me included, are on edge always for real reasons, but Norm Finkelstein can't hurt you and you'll be okay. Free Palestine. Also, Code Pink are not, by the way. Thank you, Tofu Ghost, for defending Code Pink. I was simply saying that, like, some older activists or whatever might have, like, some crank takes, and I don't really care about that. They've spent their entire lives, like, fighting the good fight. Extremist types? I don't know. The president, vice president, the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate, every single Republican in a seat of power. Most Republican voters have said that in one way, shape, or form. I mean, J.D. Vance directly said children crossing the border make the best drug mules at the vice presidential debate. So do with that what you will. But yeah, the answer is yes, they do say that. The worst part is the Democrats also kind of say that by not saying anything when the Republicans do say that. So pretty much everybody's saying that at this point. Pretty much everyone that, you know, doesn't turn around and go, what the fuck are you saying, you psychopath, is basically either a willing or unwilling participant in this kind of messaging continuing. This part is correct as well. Both parties also agree on the reason why that lady came to America to begin with, which is literally crippling sanctions on the Venezuelan government. Biden didn't reverse those sanctions, and Donald Trump greatly accelerated them with the express purpose of destroying the Venezuelan economy. Like Maduro, hate Maduro, it doesn't matter. Okay, the outcome is the same. America purposely and deliberately wanted to make the Venezuelan economy scream. Okay, and they did that. And then these people left Venezuela because there were no opportunities remaining in Venezuela, a country that has, like, you know, a country that is rich in a very important resource, by the way. They did it because they wanted to do regime change in Venezuela. It has yet to work. I hope that explains your answers your question. I ate a Karate Kid. Can you explain why they wanted the economy to scream?
Who stands to gain the most?
Democrats, big, beautiful